I'm finally reviewing one of the top 3 fragrances in my perfume collection. From the house of Amouage is this beautiful chypre fragrance, Jubilation 25 Woman. Hello guys, welcome back. I'm Eloise. I hope everyone is doing great. So I'm finally getting around to reviewing one of my favorite fragrances. This is from the house of Amouage. This is Jubilation 25 Woman. I would say that this fragrance, I love my entire Amouage collection and I enjoy almost all of the fragrances in my collection. I would say the Jubilation 25 sits in one of the top 3 most favorites in my perfume collection, which is not a huge collection, but this fragrance definitely has a special spot. I really like this one. So Jubilation 25 was released by the house of Amouage in 2007, and the nose behind this is Lucas Cezak. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. And he is the nose behind Amouage's Reflection Man as well, and he apparently was a pupil of Jean-Claude Ellena, a very renowned perfumer. And this fragrance was released as part of the pair with the Jubilation 25 Man and the Jubilation 25 Woman, and it marks the 25th anniversary of the House of Amouage, which is what the 25 stands for in the fragrance. And in what category does this fragrance fit? Is it a chypre? Is it an oriental fragrance? If you look on Fragrantica, it's called an oriental fragrance. If you look at the official website, it's also a floral fragrance. It's not called a chypre, but this is experienced like a chypre fragrance. It has a mossy green quality to it. There's this vintagey sort of aspect and feel to the fragrance. It's so well crafted. It's so beautifully blended. It's so well done. It is relevant and modern all at the same time, while being chypre-like and vintagey as well. So what the perfumer here has done is to blend the notes in such a way that even though there's no oak moss in here, this fragrance comes off and is experienced like a chypre fragrance in the world of the Guerlain Mitsuko type fragrances. But yet at the same time, you have these resinous and balsamic qualities. You have this amber that runs through the fragrance, and you have this myrrh that adds this warmth. So it's experienced as this really delicate fragrance that's refined, but yet it's rich and complex and has layers to it. And there's this powderiness and this floral aspect with these unidentified florals that you can't quite pick out and that aren't prominent. And the fragrance is just so smooth and it's very round and it's really well balanced. And I think that's what makes this different from all of the other fragrances that are in that chypre sort of genre. There are tons of chypre fragrances, but this one is really smooth, round, and seamlessly blended for this beautiful, complex, but almost simple, linear-like experience. And I say linear because when you first spray this, that citrusy, mossy fragrance that comes off like a chypre is with this from the beginning all the way to the dry down. So this doesn't have huge changes from the first initial spray. You sort of experience the fragrance from the beginning all the way to the end, even though there are some changes that take place. So let's spray this and talk about what it smells like. And I did wear this as my scent of the day. It's so intoxicating. So right at the outset, you get this citrus that comes through with this green aspect to the fragrance, and you get that incense straight away. And then within minutes, it starts to develop. As the fragrance develops, you get this slight powderiness, and it comes off a little dry, and you have these floral nuances. And you really can't, or at least my nose can't detect and pinpoint exactly what floral you're smelling. It's experienced as this really smooth part of the fragrance that comes off a little dry and a little powdery. So this beautiful green citrus starts to get powdery with these floral nuances that come through. And then you have these flecks of herbal aspects that sort of come through the fragrance and peek through that you can experience. And at the same time as this herbal aspect is mixing together with this citrusy green, slightly powdery floral fragrance, you have this really rich sort of balsamic nuance that comes with the amber and the myrrh in here. There's an amber note and there's myrrh in this fragrance that gives the fragrance a little bit of body, a little bit of warmth, and almost a slight tinge of sweetness. And with all of this comes this beautiful incense that's running through the fragrance, and this beautiful blend of this mossy, powdery, floral fragrance that's coming off a bit dry, but yet has these resinous balsamic qualities from the amber and the myrrh. It all sits on this mossy bed. It sits on this green aspect to the fragrance that comes off like moss. And that's why this is experienced like a chypre fragrance. It's absolutely stunning. I love wearing this. As the fragrance develops and dries down, the citrus elements, they subside a bit, but it stays with the fragrance. I think that to my nose, in the dry down, what I get is this soft fragrance. While I say soft, it's bold. This is soft, but at the same time bold. The same way that you could describe someone as having like a quiet strength to them, while you're not necessarily voicing and you're not necessarily being verbal, you have a strength. So you're quiet, but you have a quiet strength to you. That's how this fragrance is. It's experienced as a soft fragrance. It is soft, but at the same time, there's a bold aspect, and it's present, and it's long lasting. And in the dry down, I experience almost the same qualities that I'm experiencing from the beginning of the fragrance. Although the citrus notes do sort of subside a bit, you still have that mossy green aspect and that powdery dry aspect to the fragrance that has a floral nuance. But again, there's rose at the top and rose in the middle of the note pyramid here, but I'm not really detecting a strong rose coming through the fragrance. I feel like the way it's blended, it's just sort of all one with this mossy and this incense and these resinous qualities that sort of come through, and these herbal touches as well. It's really beautiful. And in the dry down, it's a little more subdued, but it is a dry, soft dry down that is definitely still mossy and feels chypre-like. And I think it's a long-lasting fragrance. I smell it on myself for 8 to 9 hours. I would say that it wafts off my skin and has good projection and sillage for the first 5 hours, and maybe after 5 hours, it becomes a little more subdued. But if you have it on clothing, you smell it on yourself for hours, 8, 9 hours, 10 hours. If it's on clothing, I really do smell this coming off of the clothing, and I can smell it on myself throughout the entire day. It's a 100% unisex fragrance. I think a lot of men like Jubilation 25 woman. I think a lot of men like the Jubilation 25 man version as well. But this one appears on a lot of lists for favorite chypre fragrances, or favorite fragrances for men as well. So it's a unisex fragrance. And in terms of the presentation, which I would normally talk about at the beginning of the video, but I think I was excited to talk about what this smells like because I like it so much. This is the 100 ml size bottle. It is an Eau de Parfum concentration. It comes in the beautiful, typical Amouage rectangular bottles. This one is a magnetic cap, and on top here is a little pearl. And of the Amouages in my collection, and I have about 9 at this point, this is the only one that is a clear glass. The Overture Woman is frosted. I think in another video I said clear. That one is frosted, and all of my other Amouage fragrances are tinted some sort of color. This is the only one that's clear. It's a very clean look for Amouage. Usually I feel that the presentation is a little more bold and a little more interesting in terms of the colors that the bottles come in. This one is sort of giving me the vibe of a refined, simple elegance, which in my mind goes really well with the scent profile here. This refined, almost a little vintagey, mature fragrance. I would say that this leans a little bit mature. I can't see someone in their 20s necessarily enjoying something like this. But as a fragrance that I consider a chypre fragrance, I would say that it, and a little bit vintagey, I would say that it's really done in a sophisticated, modern way, and it remains very relevant, which is why I think a lot of people enjoy this fragrance. I don't think that I'm the only one who has a love for this. I think Amouage's Jubilation 25 Woman has a lot of fans, and there's a reason for it. It's a fantastic smelling fragrance, and I think what I like about this is the way it wears and sits on my skin. Like I said throughout this video a few times, it has a soft, refined sort of wear to it, but while it's soft, it's so enjoyable. And it may not be one of the Amouages that takes you on a huge journey, but the blend is seamless. It's seamless. And this I would like to have in my collection always. So this is my take on Amouage's Jubilation 25 Woman. I hope you enjoyed my review of the fragrance. Please let me know in the comments if you've tried this and what you think about this one. And as always, if you think that I should get my nose on some other fragrance that's in this genre, please leave that in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye guys.